Hi, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Clubhouse meeting. I am so happy that you are here. I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully you were further ahead than I am and getting ready for Christmas. I feel like this is the year that my kids are probably just going to be happy with cash, so it should be easier than in years past when I had to run out and find all the toys. So they've reached the age where I think cash is the most desired present that they are going to request. So I'm going to, hopefully we have some folks kind of coming in here into the Clubhouse meeting. And if you would just post where you're from, I'd love to see kind of how far we reach. It's amazing how many folks we have from all over the world, really, watching our Clubhouse meeting. So it's great to see where you're from. It's great to know that you watch. It's great to know that this Clubhouse carries value for you. And I know you have a lot of choices of where you spend your time. And I'm just really thankful that you've chosen to spend some time with me. And I'm really thankful that you've chosen to be a part of the Clubhouse. So sometimes machine quilting, you can't really drag a long arm machine or a sit down big long arm machine to your local guild. So this is really our chance to talk about machine quilting specifically and gather together and just kind of make some friends and hang out together. So I appreciate you joining me. Do we have anybody coming in that's telling us where they're from?
We got 8 people watching. We
Yeah.
have Susie from Kansas City.
Hi, Susie in Kansas City.
We have Bill Taylor from...
Hey, Bill. I haven't seen you in a while.
Vicki is from Cincinnati.
Hey, Vicki. Nice to have you in here with us today.
And we also have Julie from Atlanta.
Hey, Julie. Nice to see you. So thank you guys so much for joining me. So we have a number of things that we're going to talk about in today's Clubhouse meeting. And I wanted to be sure that you are signed up for our newsletter, because on our newsletter, we have a lot of great information that we give out. We also have any specials. So we're like right now with December, we have a number of specials that are going out on our newsletter. If you were on our newsletter list, you also got a secret coupon that you could use over Thanksgiving break. So hopefully you've joined our newsletter, because there's some great things in there. Right now we're doing a 12 days of Christmas special. So each day in the newsletter, you get 3 things from me in your inbox. 1, you get a special on a particular product that I love. 2, you get a link to a free Christmas pattern. And the third thing that you get is, oh, help me. The giveaway. Oh, thank you. Yes, the giveaway. Okay, so we are giving away 5-yard bundles. They're 5 1-yard cuts. And every day we have a different place for you to enter. And yesterday, our entries were on Instagram. So I'm going to announce who won the 5 1-yard bundle on Instagram. So here's the bundle. So there's 5 1-yard cuts in the bundle, and then it comes with a pattern. So the winner of this one from yesterday on Instagram was Diane Nancaro. So I'm going to message you on Instagram, Diane, but we need to know your mailing address so that we can ship this to you, because this is headed your way along with a pattern. So if you would like to enter for our 5 1-yard bundle, you can do it today. So today is December the 4th. So today, December the 4th, you can enter by putting a comment on today's blog post over at quiltedjoy.com. So go to quiltedjoy.com, go to the blog post, and just leave a comment. And then we're going to do a random number generator there and pick somebody, and then they will get a 5-yard bundle in their inbox, in their mailbox very soon. And so in the newsletter every day, we announce where that giveaway is taking place, that you can go to that particular location and enter to win. So hopefully you join us. It's a little fun thing to do for Christmas, right? Everybody loves getting some fabric. So do look for our Christmas specials. We have a Christmas page there on the website that does include those daily specials that I mentioned before. So today, go to the website and comment on today's blog post, and you'll be entered to win. So our main program today that we're going to talk about is how to set tension. And there's a lot of things to talk about with tension. I mean, I could have a full day conversation with you about tension, because there's so many things that go into it. I do encourage you to go over to the blog. Yesterday, I posted an article. So it's the December the 3rd blog post, and you'll have it's an intensive article all about tension. And it has photographs of bad tension and good tension and how specifically, step by step, I set tension. So we're going to talk about tension. So I encourage you to go to that blog post and read it, and I think you'll find it helpful to you. So the first thing to think about when you're talking about tension, people think, to set good tension, that needs to be my goal, right? My goal is good tension. That's not your goal. Your first goal when setting tension, your first goal is you're actively seeking bad tension. Until you achieve bad tension, you can't find good tension. So you are seeking it out. Specifically, I want to have bad tension where the bobbin peeps his little head up to the top side of my fabric. Because until I see my bobbin, I can't control him. I don't know where he lives. But as soon as I pull my bobbin, so I'm going to over tighten my top thread and pull my bobbin to the top side so I can see him, then I can lefty-loosey that top thread and pull him back down into the batting layer. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're after. So the first step is I'm actively seeking bad tension. The next step is I want to deal with my bobbin tension first. So I want to set good bobbin tension, and then I'm going to start messing only with my top tension. So let's talk about, let's talk about how to set your bobbin tension. And I've got some bobbins here that I want to show you. So on an APQS machine, for example, you have two choices when you purchase your machine. You have an M bobbin choice and an L bobbin choice. So one of the two. And the M is certainly bigger. And there are other long arm brands out there that have the M bobbin, and there's other long arm brands out there that have the L bobbin. So you just need to know which one that you have. The big bobbin is called an M size bobbin. And so there's some anatomy of the bobbin case that we need to talk about. Let me grab this other M bobbin and see if you can see. Let's see if I can get the light in here. Do you see the difference in the bottom of these two M's? One has an anti-backlash spring. This one has an anti-backlash spring in the bottom, and the other does not. And that anti-backlash spring is super important. It does a really important job in that when you come to a halt, that spring kind of pushes your bobbin out against your hook assembly so that it can come to a halt. So that spring, the health of that spring is super important. So first let's talk about how to test the health of your backlash, your anti-backlash spring. So the health of the backlash spring, I'm going to take a bobbin that I've wound here. Again, this is an M, and I'm using an aluminum bobbin itself. If you are still using steel bobbins, I would encourage you to flip over to aluminum. Steel bobbins are just really heavy, and we want to run as lightweight tension as we possibly can. So this is an aluminum bobbin, and I'm going to put it in that bobbin case that has that anti-backlash spring in it. And I'm going to put it in so that when I pull the tail, it pulls clockwise. Check with your manufacturer, make sure that this is the way they recommend that your bobbin turn in your bobbin's case for your particular machine. Most are wanting you to put it in clockwise, but just double check to make sure that applies to your brand machine. And then I'm going to put it through the slit and under the finger. And then I'm going to just test that backlash spring by giving it a little tap. And it should have a little bit of a bounce to it. I don't know if you can see it, but I can certainly hear it and feel it. There's just a little bit of a bounce. So I just tap it gently, and I know that that backlash spring has life and is doing its job. If you tap and nothing happens, there's no bounce, then your backlash spring itself has gone flat, and you can actually bend those little wings up and get a new life out of that backlash spring. Again, it's something to look in your machine's manual or talk to your manufacturer about how to kind of bring new life into that backlash spring. Just know that your bobbin case itself is a wear and tear item, so eventually you're going to need to replace that. Okay, let's continue talking about the anatomy of your bobbin case. So you have two little screws on the fingers. So the bobbin finger is the piece of metal that wraps around the outside of your bobbin case itself. And then there's two screws. One's big and one's little. Kelsey, can we see this okay?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit of a glare?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So the little screw, that's what actually holds your whole finger onto the case. So we don't mess with the little screw. We only mess with that big old screw. And that big old screw, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And so I want to set bobbin tension on this bobbin. The first thing I want to do, though, is I want to make sure I don't have any lint being held under that bobbin finger. And the best way to kind of check that is to put a piece of stiff cardboard, a business card, a postcard, and just slip it under that finger, and any lint boogers will fall out the other side. So do check that, especially with an M bobbin, because you're going so long before you change them that you may find you have lint there under that bobbin finger. Okay, so now I'm going to lefty-loosey or righty-tighty that large screw to get good bobbin tension. So here's how you know if you have good bobbin tension. Your bobbin should actually look like a lazy spider going down a web. So do you see that this is not a lazy spider? This spider is intent to stay put, right? So this is a little bit too tight. I want to lefty-loosey that large screw, and it's a little tiny change. It's like a 5-minute increment change. If you think about this as a face of a clock, it's a little tiny change. It's not like your top tension change. All right, so I've got still just a little touch too tight. So I'm going to go lefty-loosey again, just a little tiny change. And try it again. So there we go. That's a lovely scenic spider. Now, if it zings down and it looks like a poisonous spider, that's not good. Poisonous spider's never good. Excited spider, never good. You want to make sure that you have that lazy spider look as you hold up the tail, and then it's going down your web like a lazy spider. You can have good tension you can have balanced tension on the high side. You can have balanced tension on the low side. And our goal is to get balanced tension on the low side so we can run all those finicky threads that we want. So to make a good stitch, you have to have the same amount of tension on your top thread that you do on your bobbin thread. And you want that handshake to take place inside that batting layer. So that's what we mean by having balanced tension, is that it's taking place inside that batting layer. All right, let's go back and let's look at this other bobbin case that I was showing you. So this bobbin case was the one that didn't have that anti-backlash spring in it. It just has metal. So you can actually get pre-wound bobbins that have plastic on one side, and on the other side is a magnet. And the magnet is what will grab that metal and give it stability as you come to a screeching halt, and this big, fat, heavy bobbin is down there doing its job and going really fast, and the magnet, when you come to a halt, will onto the metal and bring it to a halt. So I place it in the bobbin case, magnet side against the metal, and again I need to put it under the slit and under the finger. I've already checked this one for lint, so I know it's clean. There's a small difference when you set tension with a MagnaGlide, with a magnetic core bobbin, and that is you have to break the magnet field, and you only get about 2 or 3 inches to check for your lazy spider before that magnet kind of grabs that metal back on. So that's good bobbin tension for a magnetic core bobbin. You can also find cardboard. Now this is an L, cardboard pre-wound bobbins, and sometimes, well, especially in Kentucky in August, the cardboard is kind of bubbled up from humidity. So you can actually peel that cardboard right off. So if you find that your cardboard is, it's got bubbles in it, or maybe, I don't know, you dropped it or something, you can, when you put it in, now you'll use a backlash spring for everything except for a magnetic core. So this bobbin case has that backlash spring down there in the bottom. So I'm going to put my bobbin in, pull the tail, make sure the tail pulls clockwise, under the finger, through the slit. And so for this one, if I am, this one has a really nice bounce to it. I wonder if you can see it. Really good bounce to it. That's really nice. So if I have kind of bubbles or it's not pulling smooth, I can actually peel that cardboard right off. So let's take a look at it now. So now there's my pre-wound bobbin, and it's perfectly fine that it doesn't have a top to it. It'll run just fine in my machine. It will change your tension slightly, so if you start out setting tension with one that has cardboard on both sides and then you go peel one side off because you found one that, I don't know, the dog chewed or something, you will have to reset tension because that will change things. Of course, you can always wind your own on your bobbin winder, and each brand machine has a different bobbin winder that comes with it. So just take a look at how to use that, and you can wind your own bobbins. I would, if you're winding your own bobbins, just give yourself a little check and stick your fingernail into the thread that you wound and just make sure it doesn't feel mushy. It needs to feel really firm. And then you know you have a well-round bobbin, because a poorly wound bobbin can cause, goodness, all kinds of tension issues that are really hard to diagnose. Okay, so we're going to put that in the hook assembly. Excuse me. And so I'm just going to put my thumb over the flange. I don't need to hold the flange out. And I'm going to reach down and I'm going to place it in the hook assembly. Oh, I thought there was one in here. And then it's important that when you put it in, you hear the click. So when you put it in, you're going to hear the click, and then you're going to pull the tail and make sure that tail pulls smooth. Oh, that's why. I'm like, why can't I get it in? Okay, so this is an APQS Freddy that happens to be an L-size bobbin machine, and I was trying to stick an M-size bobbin in it. All right, let's put the right size bobbin in for the right silly size machine. Okay, so you're going to reach down into the hook, and then let's see if we can hear the snap. Did you hear the click? Okay, so you need to hear that. That tells you it's a well-seated bobbin. And then after you hear the click, pull the tail and make sure that bobbin tail pulls smooth. If it doesn't pull smooth, if it feels kind of chugga, 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 it's gotten hooked up on something. So you need to take the bobbin out and reseat it in your machine so you know you have it well seated. Okay, so our bobbin is in there. Everything is lovely. And now we're just going to talk about the top thread on the machine. So our top thread of the machine, and I just tied on a new color on this bobbin, on this top thread. So I think there it goes. There it goes. Okay, so the top thread of the machine has a tension knob here. And your machine may have a different setup. You may have more than one tension knob. This particular machine has one little tension knob right there. And so I righty-tighty or a lefty-loosey for this rotary tension assembly. And when I pull the thread off the cone, if you notice this little spring right here, let's see if I can get it closer, Kelsey. Better? Okay, see that little spring right there? That little spring, it's like a U-shaped spring, it should, when you pull the thread, go down to about 9 o'clock, generally. That's a good tension to start at when you're setting tensions, to pull that down to about 9 o'clock, and you know that you've got a nice tension on your top thread. Okay, my particular thread, I think there it goes. It was sitting on itself, so it was pulling harder than it should. So now that I have it in the neighborhood, then my next step is going to be, I'm going to bring my bobbin thread to the top, and I want to over-tighten my top thread. Just like we talked about, I'm actively seeking bad tension. I'm going to over-tighten my top thread until I can see my little bobbin peep his head up to the top side. As soon as I see my little bobbin peep his head up, I lefty-loosey and drop him back down into the batting layer. So that, in a nutshell, is how you set tension. I encourage you to go over to that blog post because there's a lot more detail, and there's photographs so that you can see the exact path I take when I test tension. So your machine is always going to be happiest because of the counter rotation of the hook in your machine. The machine is always going to be happiest making stitches when you pull the machine toward you, yeah, and when you go to this side of the table. So your left and my left are different, but when you're standing at the needle side of the machine, when you go towards that side of the table. So when I set tension, I want to make sure that I'm setting tension moving the machine away from me and moving the machine in its most unfortunate position, which is diagonally that side of the table, the left side of the table when you're standing at the needle side of the machine. So I'm going to do a zigzag stitch back and forth, and I'm really paying attention to the points of the zigzag to see my bobbin. And I'm going to righty-tighty, righty-tighty, righty-tighty that tension knob on the top until I see my bobbin peep his head up, and then I'll lefty-loosey and I'll drop him back down. So go over and check out that article. I think it will really help you. And then I encourage you to talk about or ask questions in the Clubhouse. They're on Facebook, in our Quilt of Joy Clubhouse group on Facebook. We have, I think certainly it's over 1,000 members now in the Clubhouse. So there's a lot of great brains in there to pick. There's a lot of wonderful folks. We have the nicest, most generous, most wonderful quilters who join us, and I'm just so thankful for all the folks who've chosen to be a part of this journey with us. We really appreciate every one of you. We really, truly do. Okay, so that's tension. So don't let it get you all bunched up. It's really quite easy. You need to kind of just think through logically what you're doing. And I want to thank our sponsor, APQS. They are all of their machines are 100% handcrafted there in Iowa, and they're loved the world over. And we just really appreciate all of their support. We love you, APQS, and we love your lifetime warranty. And thank you for helping us reach more people through the Clubhouse meeting. So thanks, APQS. Okay, so today I have a studio tour that I can't wait for you to see. I get folks who go, oh, I don't have the space for a long armor. Oh, I just, I would have to I can't, I would have to build an extension on the house or something. There's all these people who think you have to have this massive space. Now, a massive space is fabulous. Like we all want that lake house with a big palatial windows that you can stitch at your long arm and look out over the lake. But not everybody has that. So I want to show you this great place that Liz just got set up. She's in a 2-bedroom apartment and she has like the long armer's dream in her space. Now we recorded this earlier with Liz, so you'll see I'm in a different outfit, I'm sure. And so I want you to take a look at Liz's space. You'll enjoy seeing it.
Hi, Liz. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Angela. Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad that you agreed to show us your space because we all have this idea that our sewing studios have to be this glorious, like lakefront with beautiful picture windows, this big space. And you are proving that you can do a lot in a small area. So tell us about the sewing space you're using right now.
Okay, well, I'm in an 1,100 square foot apartment. So it's 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. My long arm is in my living room. It basically is my living room. I had to find an apartment that had a big enough living room space to house it. I actually honestly looked at houses, and there are a lot of houses now that just don't have the right kind of spaces to put a long arm in that were within budget. So I'm in an apartment, and I'm happy here actually. So
fabulous. Well, I want to see the space you're working in. So your long arm, you said, is in your living room. Can you turn the camera around so we can see what you're talking about?
Absolutely. Hang on one second. Okay, is that turning around now? Okay, so you're looking at my balcony now. Isn't that just the gorgeous view?
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely.
It's actually not bad. I've got a little chair and tables out there, but here.
Oh, I see.
Is the long arm.
Okay, so how big of a table is that?
It's a 12-foot millie.
A 12-foot millie, and you got it in there on the diagonal. Tell me why you did that.
Just to make sure that I had good space to walk around on both sides, and that as it was laying across the dining or across the living room, that I wasn't going to be whacking my hip as I walked past it on the knobs.
Perfect.
So, because right here we've got a couple of things that have done a few bruises to me in the past. So.
All right, if you if you clip your wings there and go too close to them. So this is your living room. And so I love how you have all of your pantographs stored. Show me that.
Yes.
My eye went right to it.
Yes. So first of all, I am using what people call farmhouse style reclaimed furniture, whatever. My furniture, with one exception, and I'll show you that, actually 2 exceptions for my bed, has come from estate sales or from auctions, and then it's been repainted and repurposed. And so I've got 2 things here. I've got a wine rack up on top. That's where most of my pantographs are. But down here, this is one of those behind the sofa kind of tables or along a wall. And once again, we've got wine racks down there, and they're perfect. Each one can hold 3 pantographs easily.
I love it. I have never thought of using wine racks for pantographs. That's perfect.
It's really cool to go into a store that has all this furniture that has been used someplace else for however long. Some of this is a relatively new piece that I've got right here. But I've got a couple that are closer to 100 years old, and they might have been used for a gun safe, or they might have been used as a pie safe or whatever. And I'm using them for completely different purposes, and it's just so much fun.
Fabulous. Well, show me your thread, because I saw your threads right there beside you too.
Yep, got a bookshelf here.
So
I've got my bottom line on top. Ironic. So fine. I've got some glide, and then down here in the bottom, I just have stuff that's waiting to get moved up to shelves as I make room. And you can see I've got a bunch of templates back there in the back too. I have a friend who is handy with a hammer and a nail and a saw, and he actually made that template holder and this one's over here out of old pallets.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, you can see everything.
So your living room is where you do all of your machine quilting,
Yes.
and you do quilt for others, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so
Probably 95% of my quilting.
give us like a little pan around the room so we can kind of see
Okay.
where you are positioned in your apartment there.
Okay, so just to show you, I've got my leader grips down here in this little,
Perfect.
I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a vase or what, but
Right. Yeah.
it works for me.
Yeah.
So as I'm standing here, I'm standing at the front of the machine.
Uh-huh.
I've got my thread cave over here, this tall, skinny cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's where I put the threads that I don't use so much. So I'm gonna just walk over here, try not to confuse. I've got my Fantastico, and I've got some Glide 60 and Affinity and Micro Quilter, and then just various other threads down there in the bottom, threads I don't use as much, so I just keep them in here.
Perfect.
So,
And so where do you piece, Liz? Because I see, you've got your living room where you do machine quilting, but where do you piece your
Yes.
quilt top?
I piece in my sewing room, which is the first bedroom here. This is my next top that's coming up. This is for one of my friends, Janet. It's a Daybreak by Jacqueline DeYoung. So I'm excited about that one. That one's going to be fun.
That's gorgeous.
I have it laid out there so I can just be thinking about ideas. Okay, so this is my sewing room. And I'm sorry for the gloomy day out there. It's Kentucky weather. We're getting close to winter now.
Yeah. So you said you have a 2-bedroom apartment. So this is the other bedroom, right?
Right. This is the second bedroom. It's actually an ensuite bedroom, but it's not where I sleep, obviously.
Perfect.
But,
And so you have, again, you repurposed furniture. So you've got a chest of drawers there that you
Right,
are your ironing surface.
this is my cutting station. So I've got a couple of different sizes of mats, and I've also got a woolly mat down here, which is for ironing. I have all of my sort of tall, skinny things down here, like 24-inch ruler, things that come on rolls, things that come on bolts, like interfacings, all down here in this little bin on the floor.
Perfect.
And then I've got a little place over here where I can sit and be working on my hand stitching or whatever. And I just need to take a break. My tuffet, of course.
Lovely.
I have a tuffet. Let's see, I've got my pie safe over here. This is one of the pieces of furniture that's not, it is reclaimed, but it's not. This is actually my chest of drawers from when I was 9 years old. And it was originally white, and we painted it green, and here it is in my sewing room now.
Awesome.
So that's kind of,
And then you've got your down domestic there for piecing.
and I've got all kinds of little things hiding in this cabinet over here, spare feet. I've got my welt if I'm doing I sew for other people too. So if I'm doing a stocking that has the cording around the edge, I've got a big old reel of welt up there. Just all the various supplies I need. I have 2 cats, so I have pin cushions hiding in there too, where the cats can't get to.
Yeah, they find that interesting. Well, so Liz, what would be 3 things that you would recommend to a bestie that aren't necessarily quilting related? They could be, but not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I do a lot of walking, and that has been just absolutely wonderful for me in terms of just getting out and enjoying fresh air and not getting too buried in what I do. I'd say the second thing is that if you're going through a time in your life where you have a lot of changes, dig out a journal or do one on your iPad or whatever, because you'll be happy that you have all of this later if you want to go back and read it. But sometimes it just helps to put anything that's bothering you or anything that's really special, needs to be remembered, put that into words instead of just sort of letting it rest inside of you. And then as far as quilting things go, one toy that I have over here that I absolutely love, I have a Quilta-Lite. So
A what?
hanging on my machine, a Quilta-Lite.
Oh,
So right here on my machine, this is giving me extra light down here. I'm gonna sneak around here and show you. It turns on and off just with the little touch switch over here. It has 3 settings. And it's so helpful for me just if I want to be working on a larger surface and be able to see thread too.
Perfect.
So I love it.
Good. Well, can you turn the camera around so we can see your smiling face?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. Can you see it?
Yeah, and just tilt up. There we go. Well, thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate the time that you took to show us your small space. You have made it your own, and I can tell that it's your happy place in your world to go and be creative and express yourself. So good for you.
I love it here. I absolutely love it. It's been so much fun getting it together and being able to move in and build a life here. So yes,
Good.
it's great.
Well, we'll see you in the
Okay.
clubhouse. Thank you so much, Liz.
Okay. See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you guys go over into the clubhouse and just thank her so much for doing that for us. It was really nice to see anybody's space, but it's nice to see how somebody makes a small space work so well. So thanks so much, Liz. I want to share with you my favorite things. We just got in a whole new line of thread, and this is Primo Soft. It's made by the same folks who make Glide. So if you love Glide, you're going to love this. The difference is it has a matte finish and not a shiny finish. It's still polyester, but it's a little skinnier than Glide. It's a 50 weight matte finish, and we have, of course, every color of it as well. And one of the things that surprised me about Primo Soft is how many colors will glow under black light. So I was actually using this, it's like a bone or tan colored, canvas colored Primo Soft, and I had it on a brown quilt, and I couldn't see very well, and I just popped over to the black light, and it just popped and glowed on my quilt. So I encourage you to try it. Right now we do have, you get double Quilted Joy cash with any purchase on the website. So normally you get 3% cash back with anything that you buy on our website, except for classes and gift cards and rentals. But right now you get 6% cash back that you can use for a future purchase. So that's my favorite thing this month is all the Primo Soft thread. It works great. I think you'll love it. Okay, so we ask in the clubhouse each month for folks to give us an unquilted quilt top, a photo of it, so that I can draw on it and show you how I would quilt it if it were my quilt top. So here we go. I chose Diana's quilt that she submitted. So this is the quilt that she submitted, and I thought this was really striking. Let's just zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So it gives you a lot of space there to play in, and then it has those square and a square sides to it. So when I was trying to think of what to do in her quilt, the first thing I wanted to think about was the block. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so we can see one of her blocks. So that's the block. So when I was thinking of what to do in that block, I thought, well, first what I would do is probably chalk out a line here so that I had some dividers to go by in my as I'm working. So I would chalk those out, and I thought it really, I don't know, it kind of looked very floral to me almost, these flowers, and I wanted to kind of bring out some petal design. So what I did is I did a swoop up into that half square, and then I came down and up, so a V, and then I swooped back down to the middle. I'm going to go through my center, and I'm going to do this lower part first. And the reason I do that is just for the flow of the needle. It just helps me so I'm not kind of bouncing in and out of the middle. It just helps me as I'm stitching. And then go and do this side and go back in. So I have some tulips there in the middle. And then what I thought I'd do is just a little lollipop in each one. So straight line, circle, straight line, circle, and it looks almost like a stamen. So little lollipops. So I thought that looked kind of cool. Let's take a look at how that looks on the quilt top. So that's what it looks like, all done in all the different blocks, and I liked that. And so then I started thinking about, all right, so what would I put in that blue that's kind of framing out each one? So let me zoom in again to just one of the blocks. And I thought, what am I going to do in that blue? And I thought, well, first of all, I'm probably going to want to stitch in the ditch to kind of nail that down. And I thought, well, once I stitch up here and I get to this point, what could I do to fill in this area? And so I'm just going to do a curl in, out, in, out, and then I'm going to go back with my straight line stitching in the ditch till I get to this point. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. It's just smaller. Curl, curl, And then I'm going to go and ditch, and ditch, and then I'm going to curl, and curl, yeah, and ditch, and then a smaller one. So I'm just going to work my way around the whole block and do that in each little section. I'm almost done. Up and over, and a big one. And I hope you see how it kind of frames it out a little bit. I thought it was super, super effective. And over. So that's what I came up with. So let's take a look at what this looks like now in each of the blocks. So that's where I landed next, and I thought, okay, so I like that a lot. What can I do in those white areas to frame them out? So let me zoom in to, again, just one block. And I thought, you know, when I travel up the ditch to this point, remember that's where I dropped in to do that curl, and that's where I dropped in to do that curl. I thought, well, while I'm here, I could actually do a little diamond right there, yeah? And then travel, ditch, ditch, curl, curl, and a diamond out to there. Ditch, ditch, curl, curl, and a diamond. Ditch, ditch, curl, curl. So I'm putting a diamond in each one of these. Again, ditch, ditch, curl, curl. Ditch, ditch, curl, curl. Ditch, ditch, curl, curl. And if you wanted, you could mark these, but you can also just do it freehand. Okay, so I kind of dig that. Let's see how that worked out. Diana, there we go. That's what it looks like with those diamonds. And I do like that. And so then I started thinking about these blue areas. And one of the clues that I had with those blue areas is I do have seams that are giving me structure. So you see there's a seam right here. Yeah, and a seam right here. So there is some structure there that the piecing itself has given me. And I thought, well, why not use that to my advantage so I don't have to mark this? And I want to do something here that kind of calls back to what's going on in the blocks. So in these blue areas, I thought if I use these seams as a spine and then just use those same curls that I had before in those setting squares on the block itself, I could build out, and I'm going to travel down the spine. Now I'm going to go a little bit more quickly, just so you can see. So I'm just doing a series of curls, and the key here, that's just why it's so cool, is you want variety. You want each of your curls to be just a little different. So fabulous news, right? You don't have to be super symmetrical. Travel down the spine, and then do this side. And really tuck your tail in with these curls down the spine. Tuck your tail in. If you don't, it becomes more of a hook almost and less of a curl. So definitely tuck that tail way in. Come down the spine. Now do this side. All right, so do you guys see how I'm using the piecing to give me marks that I don't have to actually get out a chalk pencil or anything, or a blue pen and mark? I can use the seams as my friend. All right, and then I go down the spine, and now I'm going to do the last side here. And curl, and curl, and curl, and curl. Okay, so that's what I did. So let's take a look at how that looks on all of those blue areas. So there we go. I love that. I think that's pretty awesome, Diana. And then Diana, I was looking at your square in the squares that you've got on those two sides, and I want my borders to kind of nod back to what's going on in the center of the quilt. So let's just zoom in here and take a look. And I love these fingers. I don't know whose fingers these are up here, Diana, but I thought that was pretty great. But I'm going to use these ones, since this is all bunched up from the fingers, I'm going to use these down here because they're just a little bit more flat for people to see. But I would start this at the top, And I would actually bunny hop here, bunny hop to the bottom, and then I'm going to put a curl in that south pole, bunny hop up to the west coast and a curl, and bunny hop up to the north and a curl, and bunny hop to the east and a curl, and bunny hop to the south, and then I'm going to go and bunny hop here and bunny hop here, and then repeat it. So when I'm traveling, I'm only doing one side for now of that square in a square. So bunny hop, curl, bunny hop, curl, bunny hop, curl, bunny hop. And literally that's going on in my head the whole time so I don't get off track. So I would do this whole side, and then I would come back up and finish those bunny hops on this side of the square in a square. Now, if I load this in this manner on my long arm, I'm only going to be able to do this in chunks, right? I'm not going to be able to do the entire border because I can't reach it with the machine. So if I load it in this direction, as far as how I have it laid out here for you and your eyeballs, I would do, however many I can reach. Maybe I can only reach 4 with the length of my long arm. Maybe I can only reach 3 with the length of my arm. However many I can reach, that's how many I'm going to do, and that's the path I would take to do that chunk, and then I would do the next chunk and the next chunk and the next chunk. All right, so let's take a look, Diana. Let's see how it looks. Ta-da! Diana, I hope you like that. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of fun kind of trying to think of what would look good and what would be kind of fun to play with and fun to try. So I hope you enjoyed that too. And if you have a quilt that you would like to submit that I could break down here in our Clubhouse meeting, just go over to the Quilted Joy Clubhouse and share your quilt in there, and then I'll select one each month that I can break down and show you how I would quilt it if it were my quilt. And speaking of quilts that were shared in the Clubhouse, let's go over. I've pulled out some that I saw this month that I thought were really awesome. So let me play that. Okay, so the first one I want to share with you, this was a Quilt of Valor from Diana W., and she used a panel and then had a lot of fun in that panel with the quilting, and she added a lot of, it looks like stars and stripes behind the eagle and added some texture to the eagle, so really great job, Diana. And then I love this one. This was from Marie B., and she said this was this little guy, this is his first quilt, and he's with his Opa, and he's enjoying all the things that she tucked into this first quilt for that little guy. What a lucky little guy that is. And look at this precious little, so I guess this is Kylie, right? Kylie Beth. Diane P. Put this up on the Quilted Joy Clubhouse for us to enjoy. And don't you just love the little baby laying there on the elephant with all of that lovely loopy going on behind the elephant and all the little hearts swimming around the baby. Super cute, Diane. And Diana M., she said this was actually done for an auction in Orlando, and she did the quilting on this. And do you see all the swirls and the wind and everything that's going on with that winter storm behind the trees? Nice job, Diana. Donna H. posted this one. This one has some ribbon candy along there in the sashing spaces, and I thought this turned out really beautiful. And I like the large borders on this one. A lot of times I'm not a super huge fan of large borders, but it works so well on that one. Great job, Donna. Diana also posted this one. This one is a really popular panel. I've forgotten who makes it. If you know what this panel is called, put it there in the comments. Gingerbur? All right. And this one I know is by Moda. And it's super, super popular, super cute, really great little panel that she did there. Nice job, Diana. And Athena E., I love everything here to look at. She's got, Sesame Street to Transformers and Motley Crue and Iron Man. I mean, everybody's on there. So wonderful T-shirt quilt, full of great memories. Nice job, Athena. And I love this one, Barbara. Oh my goodness. So these are all little pieces of some kiddos' baby clothes, and she made a baby memory quilt using pieces and parts of all of these clothing. In fact, I think that this one is like a receiving blanket that she used the triangle corners of in that block. So, What a memory, Barbara. Nice job. And then I wanted to shout out to Amy. We had in our last Clubhouse meeting, we talked about our 10 Days of Christmas, our free motion design that we had that hopefully you guys participated in. And in our Clubhouse meeting, I showed how to do Christmas trees with loopies. And so if you see, she's got her Christmas trees in those four corners. Amy, rock on. You are doing great. So thank you so much for posting those photos, and we always look forward to seeing what you have to share with us in the Clubhouse. So if you are looking to kind of show us the value that you get out of watching us each month, I would love it if you would share this with someone that you know who might find it interesting. And if you're so moved, leave us a review on Google. It helps other people find us. We're a tiny little company that's woman-powered, and we're trying to reach as many quilters as we can. So leave us a review on Google, and that would certainly help, or share it with a quilty friend that you know who would enjoy it. So I encourage you to join us on social. We're over on Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. So do join us and join the conversation. And this January, the first Wednesday of January is on January 1st. And so we will not be having a Clubhouse meeting on January 1st. So you hang out and watch your football and enjoy your family, and I'll be enjoying my family, but we won't be meeting on January 1st. So we will see you in February on the first Wednesday in February. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.